Northrend is coming in The Last Titan very likely this year as well, and it's going to be so much more than just a simple revamp. We never saw Northrend post-cataclysm. We know there is now a huge underground area that we never saw that was foreshadowed in Dragonflight, and we also learned that very likely the core of the Titan machinery powering the prison of Azeroth in Khaz'Algar is located very likely under Northrend. This is almost certainly the reason why the Titans themselves are going to show up. However, we got Scourge, vrykul, Return of the Titans, Sargeras, Illidan, and such a crazy amount of content happening in The Last Titan. So let's look at everything we currently know in Midnight and what really awaits us in the finale of the World Soul Saga. Overkill offers the best coaching service and it can save you time. So Overkill just skipped the ad for you and it can help you skip a lot of trial and error with their coaching service. So check out my code Doronsmovies to get 10% off every order until the end of the year. I know it might sound a bit crazy to talk about Northrend now when only Midnight is about to release. We are yet to even go into alos outside of the beta, but the reality is that very likely The Last Titan is actually going to be announced this year. There is a reason Blizzard announced BlizzCon 2026 and skipped the one in 2025 when Midnight is released. It does seem likely that we will get 12.1 before, which will point us in the right direction of the story so that The Last Titan can be announced and we can figure out what exactly is going to happen in Northrend. Honestly, I think out of all the 3 expansions announced, The Last Titan should actually be the most interesting one, at least from the lore perspective of things. The war with him was literally just setting up the storyline for the next 2, nothing crazy really happened. Midnight is like when things are going down and really heating up, but The Last Titan is going to be the finale. Honestly, by the things they had announced, The Last Titan should legit be the craziest expansion yet. I'm talking objectively, just from the storylines we can expect. I mean, something like this never happened. First, revamp of iconic Northrend, and then the literal Titans coming to Azeroth, which also never happened, the reveal of the Titan conspiracy that they had built up since Classic, and also the return of Sargeras and Illidan. Technically, in a way, WoW as it is going to end all the storylines from Ulduar, Uldum, the lore we had learned pretty much since the start is going to be finally explained. So Northrend is going to be a really big deal. I know the main selling point is Northrend itself, but I think a lot of people don't realize that so much more is going down. Like, this expedition is going to be very different than the one we did back in Vrat. So there have been some leaked maps and such making Northrend different, and while honestly I think the whiteboard map is just BS, we can expect Northrend to be enlarged, and I think it will get the alos treatment, as in zones might be bunched up into one and we might be introduced to new zones. Honestly, I don't think they're going to make Northrend smaller, but we could see it being different, as remember, Cataclysm did split the world after that, and we never got a true update to Northrend, although we did get a book from a few years back that didn't write down any notable changes to the continent. I think how they bunched up the ghostlands into alos, they might do the same thing to a few zones here as well, so there might be less zones and there could be additional ones as well. Most notably, we know for certain that we're going to a new part of Northrend, and that is the underground area that Iridikron had set up. Remember, back in Dragonflight we got the book where we learned that Iridikron used to live in Northrend with a huge underground base and a lot of tunnels, very likely based on speculation, somewhere close to the Vrat Gate. Seeing that we were never there, we never discovered something like this back in Vrat, but Northrend always had this massive underground vibe when you think of it. I mean, we had that giant Titan hole like dug up in Storm Peaks, we had the entire prison of Yogg-Saron under Ulduar, we had like below the World Tree like old god stuff. Now in Shadowlands we learned there is a giant drill into the World Soul right under the Icecrown Citadel that we never saw ourselves. With this base of Iridikron, there is definitely a Northrend under Northrend. However, something I really want to mention is the new information we've learned from Midnight and the War Within. Previously I thought that the prison of Azeroth was under Northrend, as when you think about it, all roads, aka all type of facilities leading to Northrend and the main base Ulduar, but I think it is actually the other way around. Recently in Midnight, we learned that Azeroth used to be a goddess called Alhara. She lived in a place called the Cradle, which is Harandar, and the Titans came, ripped her out, creating the Rift of Al. It was heavily implied she was placed in the prison in Khaz'Algar. Khaz'Algar. So it is likely that the actual prison, the location itself, is in Khaz'Algar. I thought we would discover this in the War Within, but I think we are going back there in the last Titan. There is a layer beneath the most bottom layer where the elevator is stuck, which is the actual Titan prison. That giant hole is an elevator for Titans in the Earthen capital there. Now, what we've learned in the War Within is that this elevator is powered up by a mechanism called the manifold, and that manifold broke some time ago and is no longer powering the prison. The manifold is a vast world-spanning complex of Titan machines, forges, and installations. Notable ones are the Forge of Wills and Origination, but there are more of them. It seems to be mainly powered up from Northrend, where the main Titan base is, Ulduar. This was never fully followed up, but I think what awaits us in Northrend is this mechanism, the actual center of it, the command board. Previously, before we learned this, I thought Azeroth might truly be below Northrend, but I think this is where the main part of the machine is, and we were told it broke off. I think we might have to somehow restart this machinery to be able to free Azeroth, and I think this is why the Titans are going to have to come in person. The mechanism has malfunctioned so hard, and they no longer have any reliable Titan constructs that are loyal to them to do the job, so I think they will have to come themselves and build a new Titan Forge, and I think this is going to be the gist of the main storyline. I think the main Titan facility is not in fact Ulduar, but something below the ground, something where Lich King dug. There must be a reason he placed the Icecrown Citadel there, and this facility will probably be the key to this entire saga. I also don't think Iridikron himself dug those tunnels beneath the ground. I think he just discovered them and made it his home, but that giant underground tunnel system is something way bigger. There's a reason why Iridikron had such knowledge of what the Titans really did. Remember when we learned in the War Within that Northrend Nerubians and Khaz'Algar Nerubians had a tunnel connecting the two, but they didn't send any reinforcements? I think something really crazy is hiding below here as well. As you can see, the Haranir are able to travel all of Azeroth just through the roots of world trees. I really do think there is a whole Northrend under Northrend. Now, other than this, I think we can also expect some incredibly interesting storylines other than just the main one. The most interesting one is the Scourge. I've got a full video on this that I made recently, but the gist of it is that based on the most recent lore, the Scourge is definitely still active, just without the Lich King. They're still producing undead, the machines have been confirmed to be active, and small-time leaders are constantly emerging. The big speculation right now is that we could see the return of Denetrius, which is constantly foreshadowed, seeing that it was his Dreadlords that originally created it. What is certain is that the Scourge definitely won't be the main focus of the expansion like back in Wrath, but it is still the strongest force on the continent, and it will be interesting to see what they are going to do once the Titans come back. I think we might also deal with the Scourge for good in the last Titan as well. Other than this, we can expect the Troll storyline to progress. We still don't know what is going on with the Drakari. It is implicated that they're gone, but I somehow think they can re-emerge, and it could be an interesting connection with the Amani and the Zandalari we currently got active as well. The other really interesting thing I want to see are the vrykul and what is going on with these guys, and we could potentially see these guys as playable, as really vrykul are some of the most requested playable races. I think there is a huge potential from vrykul lore so far. They're really one of the only one of the Titan machines that have not at least had a good faction to join us, but with the return of the Titans and the fact that most of them were destroyed by the Scourge, that might soon change. Furthermore, it would also be really interesting to see how our bases are going to look like in the new expansion. We know that the Horde Alliance bases are still out there in Northrend, just maintained by a skeleton crew, so it would be super cool to see our iconic fortresses from Wrath of the Lich King built anew, with finally some activity just like back in the day. Thank you for watching. Check out how the Alliance leadership is in a complete chaos by clicking on the screen, and also check out our video on real world history, Titan lore, and Greek mythology that I've recorded live on site in Italy by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time!